Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine. Today we're going to take a look at this right here. It is the Modo Drum modeler from IK Multimedia. It is a program that allows you to create drum sounds in your DAW, in whatever you need it to do, and a whole bunch more. Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine, Think Magazine, Put in a Geek. You got me. You can find me on all the socials, including Twitch and Twitter and TikTok and all that other good stuff. And today we're going to talk about the Modo Drum from IK Multimedia. Now, I've reviewed a lot of cool stuff from IK Multimedia in the past, and this is no different. It allows you to create drum beats. If you're not a drummer, you can create drum beats. If you are a drummer, you can create drum beats. You can attach it into your system, create MIDI, add these really specific, great sounding drum sets, and continue on however you want to do it. First of all, we got to talk about this. I did get a copy of this software to review from IK Multimedia. They did not pay me for this review. They are not editing this review. And of course, all opinions are that of myself and Geekazine. You can go over to geekazine.com/review to find out more on that. Now, let's get into this. Let's get in here. First of all, hey, you know, you can customize your sounds. You've got multiple kits and multiple drums that you can use. You can sync to multiple MIDI units if you want to. I got a couple MIDI units that I'm using, going to be using today. You can do real-time sounds. You can do pre-made grooves and a whole bunch more. The price, $299.99. Now, you might think to yourself, well, that might be a little bit too much, but for what you get, it really is not. It's just amazing. Now, I do have to tell you that I did get this software back when it did get released, and that was back in, I believe, September, August timeframe. The program was pretty solid, but when I was attaching MIDI devices to it, I wasn't getting the responses that I really wanted to see for this. They've since then not only have updates come out from Modo Drum, but also from the MIDI providers, updating it using for Catalina and for the latest Windows 10, and things have gotten a lot better. This is the website over here, Modo Drum. They have a full specs range, but we're going to take a look at the most important specs, and that is if you are a Mac user or a PC user, you can use this on either machine, and they work both great on either machine. For a Mac, you need a Core i5, support for AVX instructions, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 20 gigabytes of hard drive space, and it is a 64-bit plugin. So you'll need any program that uses a VS2 or VS3 or AAX. What we're going to use, we're going to keep it as simple as possible. We're going to use GarageBand. Just going to open it up in there. Of course, we're going to show you the interface first before we do that. Let's take a look at this a little bit more. For Windows, Core i5 also needs AVX instruction, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 20 gigabyte available hard disk space on Windows 7, Windows 8, or Windows 10. ASIO compatible sound card USB port 3.0 suggested, and I highly suggest that you download the free ASIO. It's right here. I'm gonna put that right there, and that's basically an ASIO driver that has the lowest latency that I've ever seen. Now, like I said, you need to have a program. If you want to use this for any program, you need to have a program that'll allow it to come in as a VST instrument. We're talking GarageBand, we're talking Reaper, we're talking Cubase, we're talking Ableton Live on there. There's a whole bunch of programs that are on there. You might want to look at your program first to make sure that it can accept a VST, an external third-party VST instrument. Adobe Audition does not have MIDI support, so Adobe Audition, you can't use it on this. You can't import the tracks or anything like that. I really wish that Adobe would get something in a MIDI editor that would even convert it to audio so I can put it in a little bit easier in my programs, but that's neither here nor there, just so you know. But we're going to use GarageBand, and if you've got a Mac, you've got GarageBand. Simple as that. And of course, Windows, you'll have to get some software to put on for that. But there's many different MIDI editing programs out there that you can use to create that. Now let's get into the program itself. Here it is right here. This is the Modo Drum and we have it on studio mode. Straightforward interface. We have our models. We can customize. We can do our play styles, our room, our mixer, our grooves, and our mapping. These are all the drum sets that come with Modo Drum. We've got a studio set. We've got a jazzy set, a rock custom, a grungy reference. So you got a pretty good amount of sets. We're going to start with the studio kit. It just looks like a standard 5-piece drum set with a couple cymbals, hi-hat, and ride here. Now, this is also completely customizable. That means that you can completely customize the types of cymbals, how many drums. If you need a double bass drum kit, if you need a China cymbal, if you need a gong, if you need a cowbell, all those drums are in there. You just have to set it up that way. So we can go studio, we can go rock custom, and as you can see, it's going to load the preset. Now, we already have... We got the drum set. What I have set up here is on the Axiom Air 32. As you can see, I've got that all set up there. As you can hear this, let's go to the jazzy set really quick. And then we can go a little grungy. I'm not going to go through all of them. You'll get a good idea. And then let's just do plexi as one more, because we like plexi. I like plexi drums. Going from drum set to drum set is actually fairly straightforward and easy to do. Now, like I said, all of this can be customized, and we're going to go through those screens really quick. We're going to start with the customize. Here is the drum set. As you can see, you have all the drums. You have your snare. You got your bass drum. That's what's lighting up. We got some toms. And then the cymbals and the hi-hat. As you can go from there. Now, you can take all these drums, as you can see on the top, that's actually switching around. So if I want to use this flexi kit, but I really like this Black Oyster shell for the snare, there it is. Now, let's say I do D Gentleman. We got that. We can switch that out. We can switch these out. Same thing with the cymbals. We can go this type of crash. We can do this type of crash or this type of crash, vintage. And ride cymbal, if you want a little bit more plated sound, a little drier sound right there. You got that, and you got a little bit more firm. And as you can see, as I'm tapping on the edge, you get an edge sound. If I'm tapping on the bell, you get a bell sound. We can customize this further. Let's just go through the buttons here. You have the play style. Now, this is really cool. I can set up for the different types of drumsticks that I use, the different where I hit on the drum. Like for instance, let's say on the snare drum, I have my left over here and my right over here. So when I hit on this snare, as you can see, I'm just hitting using a keyboard, so it's not going to do too much on that. But we can bring that on a little bit. You see that circle get a little bit smaller? That's the area that we use for our drum. And of course we can go nylon tip. We can have a little bit of different sound there. We can change the arena area for that. And we can do the snare drum, we can do the toms the same way. We can bring I like to usually hit from down towards the middle there. And then of course the bass drum kick. We can change the beater here. Let's say if we don't want felt, we want plastic, we want a little tacky sound. We can bring that in. We want a little wood sound for even more tack. We can do heel up, heel down. We can make all the changes there, but we'll just stick with here. We can change our room, so we're in a large studio. Let's go into a mid studio. We can go to a garage. We can go to a booth. We can go to cathedral. And with that, we can change that all from here. Bring that down. Bring it up. Or more and less. So you get the idea from there. We got the mixer here, which is pretty straightforward. Do you want less snare? Then we bring that snare down. Bring it down. And then, of course, ultimately the main mix is right here. We can put in effects. Like, for instance, let's say with this one, we want to put in, let's do a crusher on this tom. And we can edit that. So you can see how that changes a little bit. Bring in a little bit more. We can change the cutoff. Went the wrong way. So less ring, more ring, more ring. So you get the idea. And then when we're ready, we can just say, okay, I don't want that on anymore, so I'll just turn that off. And there we go. We can add. This is just a regular mixer, so it adds everything: cymbals, toms, and cowbell, and whatever other instruments you have there. Next, we have grooves. This is all predefined grooves, so we'll just do Ace 102 really quick. And so you get the idea on that, and you can change that up. And these are the grooves that you'll basically drag and drop into your DAW. So let's say you just want a straight up beat, you can just drag it into the DAW. I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. And then, of course, we have mapping. Now, this is very important because not all MIDI devices are set up perfectly. So, like for instance, I'm gonna grab a drumstick and I'm gonna hit the bass drum with on my DTX. Now I'm seeing that registered at the C1 level. I can go over here to kick and I say, but I want this to be something else. So first of all, I'm going to map it. So I hit this button right here and then I map it for the pad. And so basically I clicked on here where you see the little MIDI, and then I hit the pad and now it's mapped for that. And then I can change that. Let's bring it up a little bit. We'll say yes. Now it's not registering as anything, so we can bring it back down. There we go. Now in this interface, we can do a lot of different changes. Like we can do a velocity curve, basically drag and drop. And then we can save this or remap it. We can bring in more drums. There's the other bass drum. So with kick 2, we don't have anything assigned. We can assign it there. I'll say yes. There we go. And with that, we bring this in. So now you see, if we go back to customize, we have this drum right here. There's also a way to bring in the drums over here, and we can change this out. So let's see, we want that as the Blue Oyster one. It's the edit kit. Now you're seeing all the drums, all the cymbals with that. So we can change this out. We can bring in this China. We can bring in this crash, a little splash. And now we've got a bigger drum kit that we can use, and we just basically have to go into the mapping and map those. So we'll go like that, and we'll go. You get the idea. So we can bring in a very big kit for whatever style you have. Now, going back to the customize, we can do a lot more with the customization. That is over at the edit element. Now, this is where you can really have some fun with this. You can tell it what type of edges you have on your bass drum. You can tell it the diameter of the bass drum, the depth of the bass drum. Let's see, it can go from 12 inches to 24 inches. We got a diameter of 17 inches for a smaller or a really big drum. We can tell it what type of heads we want. We want a clear or coated head. Or do we want, what do we want for the resonant head? Do we want more volume on there? For a resonant, do we want dampening on there for our resonant head? Do we want to tune it a little bit to give it that that poing sound, or we'll just reset it back to default. On the edges of the shell, they're usually got a small bevel to them. It's less wood touching the drum head for a better sound. So you can change those. We can go sharp. We can go point. Or rounded. And they all add different sounds to the drum there. So we can totally customize that. We can switch it up. Let's go to the snare drum. And we'll do edit element of the snare drum. With this, once again, we can change the heads. We can get a nice coated head. And different sets will give you different options. The type of snare. Do you want a large snare or a medium snare? Do you want a shell of diameter, a bigger shell with a bigger depth or a smaller depth? And all these, you get the idea. So there's full customization as to what you're doing with this drum set. And you can really just sit there and fine tune the sounds of each drum. So there's a lot of different sounds in here. We haven't even gotten into the best parts, and that is putting it into your DAW-based program. So, but first of all, like I said, everything right now we've been going through here. So as you can see, I have the DTX Multi-12 here from Yamaha, and I have it set up for MIDI, so I can use it. So we have a couple different ways you can do that, especially if you have an older drum module and you want some better sounds to it. You can bring those in using this program. Now let's bring it into a DAW system. And like I said, we're going to use GarageBand. We're going to try and keep it as simple as possible. So we're going to close this out. And we're going to go into GarageBand. We're going to say, this says a new thing, software instrument. We're going to go drum kit. And we'll just say, let's do Bluebird. But we're going to change that up here. Because what's going to happen is we're going to go down here. And we're going to see a thing that says plugins. And this will be like this when you start out. Do the drop down, hit the drum kit, and then you'll see Modo Drum in the list. Or it might say IK Multimedia sometimes. So either way. You'll go into Modo Drum and you'll hit stereo and it loads the plugins and then the Modo Drum shows back up. And we're using the drum and we can change that up. We'll go to the Babinga. So we can go in here. Let's bring this down a little bit. We got the metronome ready to go. Let's record something really quick. And with that, we'll bring it's all in here. So we're going to hit this. Oh, let's take that metronome out. So now. There you go. And of course, with this, you can go into the MIDI patterns and you can change the velocities if you don't like the way that you hit the drum or anything like that. And really depending on what module you use, they can register velocity. So it can register a light hit or a heavy hit or maybe even a drum roll or things like that. And you might have to go in and do some tweaking into your MIDI editor to get the sound you want. Maybe you're doing like little flams and things like that. You'll have to make the adjustments because not everything, it won't understand everything, and that's any program. So you'll have to go into the MIDI editor and make some adjustments here and there. So expect that to happen. It's not going to be 100% perfect. But the cool thing about this now is I can go in here, and with this drum beat that I do, and I'm going to loop this drum beat. Now I'm going to go to Rock Custom. And I've completely changed my drum set. Go to Jazzy. And once again, you get the idea of how that all works, because they're MIDI hits. They're not, you could put a piano to this. You could put a saxophone to this. It'll sound weird, but you can still do it and have the sound. But bringing in the Modo Drum, it'll give you past the drum sets that something like GarageBand or Reaper or Ableton Live can offer, and give you different options so you can really tune it in. Now, you can also, like I said, you can also set it up onto the DTX. I have my Roland TD50 downstairs, and I'm still doing a little bit of tweaking on it. Like I said, never perfect, but you get it as close as possible so you can do some multi-track recording, and then you can bring in those sounds into whatever recordings you're doing. Now, the one other thing I didn't show you is that groove style. We'll go back over there. So with the same groove, we can sit here and we can just bring this up. It's basically a little drag and drop. And it's asking if we import the tempo information. We don't want to import the tempo. So now we can bring that right there and zoom that like that. And now we've got a pattern that works a little bit better because it's already been done and been cultured out and set up for all the hits and all the velocities in the right spot. So there you go. You get the idea from that. So that is Modo Drum in a nutshell, as best as we can in what we're doing at least 20 minutes here. Thank you guys for sticking around with me on this. We got a lot of great stuff here. If you want to check out more, I'll have the links in the show notes that you can get yourself your Modo Drum. And of course, if you go over to geekazine.com, you can get the Modo Drum information there as well. So you have been watching. We've been talking about the Modo Drum drum modeling. Really quick, what do I think about it? It is, like I said at the beginning, I was happy with the interface, but when importing MIDI devices into it, I had a hard time. There was a big set of latency, and this was on the Mac and the PC as well. That has been fixed with the newest version, and of course, as they continue, there'll be newer versions and updates coming through, and probably even more cool stuff that you can use to bring your drums into your music and make the sounds that you want to. That's it for this video. What do you think? Do you use Modo Drum? Do you have another program that you use that you really like? Let me know. Of course, check out all my other reviews of IK multimedia software and hardware. YouTube, go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, and that little bell notification to let you know when the next video comes in. We do a lot of tech, consumer tech, a lot of music tech, and a whole bunch more, and some geekery too. So Jeffrey Powers here. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, you guys geek out and drum on.